Episode 89 marks the moment Tsunade's legend steps out of rumor and into reality. We've heard her name whispered since episode 88, the legendary Sannin, the gambler, the medic, the runaway. But this episode, we finally see her, not as a hero, but as the woman torn between the past and the present. The title alone says it all.
An impossible choice! The pain within Tsunade's heart!
And that's exactly what it is. Pain dressed as strength. Today, I want to break down how episode 89 doesn't just introduce Tsunade, but foreshadows the tragedy and redemption that defines her character. When Tsunade first appears, we're hit with contrast. She's one of the legendary Sannin, one of the strongest shinobi to ever come out of Konoha, yet she's introduced preparing to lose some money gambling. Instead of her being renowned as a Sannin, she's being ridiculed as the legendary sucker. That's not a mistake. It's storytelling brilliance. Kishimoto builds her mystique and undercuts it in the same breath. We expected the grand entrance of a war hero, but instead we meet someone ordinary, maybe even cynical. The legend of Tsunade precedes her, but her debut reminds us that legends are often built upon people who are tired, flawed, and human. Her companion Tsune immediately grounds her. Tsune is comedic, optimistic, and cheerful, and through her we glimpse Tsunade's duality, brilliance and bitterness coexisting underneath one cloak. Their dialogue tells us this isn't just a simple master and student bond. It's a caretaker trying to hold someone together who doesn't want to be held. Which brings me to the setup. Orochimaru is on the move. Jiraiya is collecting information, and Konoha is still wounded from the recent attack and is in desperate need of leadership. That makes Tsunade's absence matter. Her reemergence isn't just a reunion, it's the story of a woman being pulled back into a world she might not believe in anymore. It's clear Tsunade isn't wandering because she's lazy. She's wandering because she's haunted. Someone that important walking away from Konoha tells us something broke her faith long before we arrived here. When we see her interactions in this episode, we can see that she wants nothing to do with Orochimaru until he says,
"I'm offering to bring your dear little brother and your beloved back to life."
Even without any flashbacks yet, her demeanor tells us the loss of those two people was extremely significant and turned her belief into bitterness. That tells us that Tsunade isn't rejecting her legacy, she's running from what it reminds her of. All the gambling and occasional drinks provide her a temporary escape from memories that never stay buried. When Orochimaru tempts her, we get a brief flashback and we see her demeanor change even more.
Nawaki. Done.
If you look closely, the necklace the kid is wearing is the exact same necklace she's currently wearing, meaning that necklace serves as a reminder of what happened in the past. Before we move on, I want to talk about how Kishimoto handles Tsunade's grief. I think if she were a man, we would have gotten the stereotypical drunken man who's a loner and rejects society. Or perhaps even worse, we would have gotten Luke Skywalker. However, I think because Tsunade is a woman, he decided to do something different. She has a companion who has a pet pig, and from what we've seen, she's primarily sober, making her only vice gambling. Speaking of her gambling, it is easy to read it off as comedic relief, the tough kunoichi with a bad habit, but it's serving a deeper role even at this early stage. When Tsunade bets, she's doing the same thing she's done emotionally for years, risking hope, expecting loss. Her nickname, the legendary sucker, isn't just about dice, it's about hope. She gambles on the off chance things might go right, and they rarely do. Every roll is a tiny rebellion against fate. She doesn't expect to win, but stopping would mean accepting her stagnation. That subtle pattern, her endless losing streak, becomes a metaphor for the curse of hope. She keeps playing because doing nothing hurts more. And while Tsunade is stuck at that gambling table, the dynamics of the world are greatly shifting. Both Orochimaru and Jiraiya are closing in. One hunts for power and the other searches for purpose. In the rhythm of the story, she's the only Sannin whose world keeps turning while the past keeps echoing. That dynamic completes a quiet triangle that episode 89 begins to sketch. Orochimaru moves through ambition, Jiraiya moves through faith, while Tsunade is stuck in grief. It's nostalgia with a tragic twist. These three were once Konoha's shining hope. Now they embody 3 different ways of coping with loss, and episode 89 is the bridge that connects them, piece by piece, before their eventual collision. Back to the title, the pain within Tsunade's heart. It's not physical pain. We see no battle, and we don't see any injuries. It's emotional paralysis. Her short temper, her shrugging responses, and the way she cuts off Suzune's concerns say more than any monologue could. It's not detachment, it's exhaustion. Kishimoto uses restraint here rather than dump exposition. He lets her presence speak through subtext. In most stories, characters declare their trauma, but Tsunade hides hers. If you take a moment to think about how Tsunade got here, you realize that as Tsunade's teammates, Jiraiya and Orochimaru were 2 of the closest people to her. However, neither of them attempted to make any contact with her until they needed her abilities. With Jiraiya, you can argue he was keeping his distance because he was respecting her boundaries, but spoiler alert, when he finally meets up with her, it's clear that that isn't the case at all. Story-wise, it makes sense that Orochimaru would look at a deeply depressed Tsunade and say, "Damn, that's tough, buddy." But Jiraiya? That almost seems out of character for him, but I digress. Everything episode 89 gives us is prelude, and yet it already sets up her entire conflict. We see her cynicism toward the world around her, her emotional distance from those closest to her, and her ability to command respect while radiating grief. Each trait foreshadows what's coming without spoiling it. We don't know her past yet, but we feel its presence in every scene. That's effective storytelling. The show makes us curious enough to care before it ever answers why. Given how easily she breaks this wall, she's certainly strong, but that still begs the question, how can someone so revered seem so fragile? That question alone is what keeps us invested as the search for Tsunade arc is reaching its climax. Episode 89 introduces Tsunade not as a powerhouse, but as a paradox, a legendary healer who feels sick to the heart, a gambler who knows she'll lose but rolls the dice anyway, a shinobi who once stood for Konoha yet can't bear to face it now. This episode doesn't celebrate her strength, it frames her pain, and that's why it sticks with you. We don't just want to see Tsunade fight, we want to see her remember why she used to. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit the like and subscribe button, and also hype if you're able so we can grow our Shinobi Alliance. Deuces.